How's it going, everyone? Movies are finally back in theaters. It's been 6 months now, I think, and it's good to be back. We've had quite a few movies come out just this week alone. I thought I would address some of them all in one video. I think it was 5 films that I've seen, and we'll give you my initial thoughts on those films, followed by a grade. Talk about each movie a little bit and what I thought, basically. So, obviously, the biggest one being Tenet. Christopher Nolan, my favorite director. I know that a lot of people are kind of a hit and miss with this guy. I've always liked all of his films. The Following and Dunkirk, I think, are probably my least favorite films, and even those films are really good films. But some people just really don't connect with Christopher Nolan's filmmaking. I've always appreciated his style. He always likes to blend this blockbuster action films with films that make you think, and depending on what mood you're in, you can go in and dissect the film and try to figure out what he was trying to say, what the hidden meanings were behind some of the themes. And on the other side, you can just go back and enjoy these films and just watch them for just the effects and the spectacle that's on display. And I love that he can combine both elements, and you could come in and basically pick and choose what you want to see in the film. I've always appreciated his filmmaking. I think he's one of the best directors working today. And when I saw that a lot of people are not liking this new movie, Tenet, I was really kind of surprised. I mean, it is a difficult film to understand at first. Everything is out of order, out of sequence, going in reverse. It's sitting right now at a 74% on Rotten Tomatoes critic score and a 79% with the audience score, and the score has been dropping, and I think it might continue dropping, and that might be just people just can't wrap their mind maybe around the film, and it's a shame because I really enjoyed it. I can see some flaws with the film. Yes, the character development could have been better. We don't know too much about the protagonist. And you want to really like the guy, but you don't know anything about him. And I see why that drew some people away. I think that didn't really bother me that much. I think the biggest issue is the sound design. I want to hear everything, and Christopher Nolan put the sound effects and score above the dialogue. So there's a lot of muffled expository dialogue in this film that I wish I could pick up on, and subtitles obviously would fix this. But since we don't have that in theaters, I'm going to have to wait till this comes out on Blu-ray. And honestly, this film needs to be rewatched regardless. I feel like people watch it once, they don't understand it, they jump on board to hate it. And you might not like certain things, but to just go out and hate this film because you didn't fully grasp what it was trying to say or trying to do, it's not fair. This isn't maybe the most mainstream film that he's done. I think Inception, while some people have complained that is a more difficult film to understand, I think the plot of that film and the themes are pretty basic. I didn't think it was that difficult to understand. I think the way he tells the story is a little bit difficult, and a few watches can really solve that. Tenet was a really enjoyable film just for the entertainment value, even if you couldn't understand some of the dialogue occasionally. And yes, it's a very fast-paced film, and maybe it was too fast for some people, in addition to being very loud. But I think the practical effects were incredible. He likes to go big. He does not like to use CGI, and when we see all these action scenes on display, whether it's crashing a plane into a building or all those explosions, that is actually happening, and I appreciate that more. For him, at being a filmmaker, to take risks like that, he, like I said, very ambitious director, and I appreciate his filmmaking. And this was an enjoyable film. I obviously can't wait to watch this one over again. Yes, it's not his best film. Prestige, Memento, Inception, and even Interstellar are better films, but I don't think this is his worst film, and even if it was his worst film, he has yet to make a bad film. He has made 11 films, and to my opinion, they have all been pretty good or had something that is worth revisiting. And I know that's not a popular opinion. I know some people don't like his work, but I think he has done an amazing job with this film. I don't think anyone else would have done as good of a job making this film as he did. nor do I think anyone would have approached making this film the way he did. So I had a lot of fun watching it. Sure, it's not perfect, but I thought it was a really damn good film. I'm surprised that it's not doing so well critically. With that said, I'm going to be giving Tenet a B+. So next up is Disney's Mulan, the remake, the live-action remake. I have not been a fan of these remakes. So far I have found them kind of unnecessary. They are just there to make money, cash grabs for Disney with dollar signs in their eyes, and I continue to think like that with Mulan, because this was a disappointing film. Again, much like Lion King, technical aspects of this film are really great. If Lion King had really great special effects, this film has great costume design. It's got good makeup, it's got good set design pieces, and the music's pretty decent as well. Where this film falls apart, again, like I said with The Lion King, is its emotion, its heart, its charisma. There's no sense of magic left in this film. It just lost all of its heart and soul. And it could have been achieved without, obviously, the music, without the comic relief. Trailers looked very good. It seemed like it was going to be this very epic film. And you watch the film and you really don't get that. I think the performances are very wooden. Our main lead isn't really likable. There's no emotion in her at all. She sheds some tears occasionally, but her acting is very wooden, and I just really didn't feel for her character. I really didn't care about any of the characters at all. The only other characters I think I would even say were kind of good would probably be the villains. The villains are interesting, especially with their costume design and their makeup. They look like menacing, interesting villains, but they do nothing with them, especially the female villain, because there are two villains in this film, unlike the animated film. And they totally disposed the female villain in this film. What a shame. It could have been good. I don't know what the heck they did. The last 45 minutes felt very rushed. And end of the day, I thought this was, again, an unnecessary film that cannot beat a animated film that was made, 20 years ago? It's ridiculous how much money they poured into this film. And there's talks of a sequel already. Just like there's talks to making a sequel for Aladdin. I think after watching this film, I am no longer interested or have any faith in Disney to do proper remakes. And it's a freaking shame that they just can't stick to doing original work. They have to rely on their previous work to draw people in to see these pointless remakes that don't do anything. They're longer, they don't capture the spirit that the animated films did, yet people keep going because they see a familiar title. And it's a shame. Technical aspects, yeah, I can praise it for that, but at one point or another we're going to say, this is no longer impressing us, give us something else. And until that day comes, we're going to keep getting these stale remakes that have some good in it. Maybe Oscar bait for, costume design or something, or special effects. But story-wise, they will be forgotten within a couple of years, and everyone will be gravitating once more to the animated films that are a classic for a reason. I'm going to be giving Mulan a C-. Next up is Bill and Ted 3. Was not planning on watching this. I haven't seen the first two in so many years. I remember liking the first one enough. I thought it was cheesy fun. Not bad. I mean, nothing great, but it was fine. I even watched the sequel to it. Don't honestly remember the sequel too much other than like a couple of scenes, but a very forgettable movie. And this one kind of came out of nowhere. I was not expecting this film to come out, and it did. I guess because everyone's loving Keanu Reeves right now, so they're just willing to put him in any movie, and this just seemed like a good opportunity to throw him in here. Wow. This has got to be the worst movie I've seen this year. Granted, I did not see Bloodshot, but this has been the worst film I've seen this year, and it's even worse than Underwater. It's getting some praise from people. Yeah, it's an optimistic movie, I guess you can say, call it that. This was just a very, very dated film. I didn't think the acting was very good. I thought the story was very basic, uninteresting. I really wanted to just fast forward through the movie. And aside from watching the actors having fun, clearly they're having fun, reuniting and doing this film, I did not find this film entertaining at all. I thought the humor did not work. Like I said, very dated. It's trying to rely on humor that worked back in the 80s. If you're going to set up some kind of time travel system, establish some freaking rules, because they're just doing anything in this film. There are no consequences. One thing I just really couldn't understand was why they're still stoners. Why are they such dumb characters even all these years later? They have grown up, they have matured, I would think. Why are they still acting like a bunch of teenagers? It just really didn't make any sense. It felt like a terrible Doctor Who episode with its corniness. And I really have nothing positive to say about this film. It's like one of those films that should have just debuted on TV, on like the Sci-Fi Channel or something. If at all. Couldn't wait for this film to be over. I really just hope we don't get any more of these. If you really love the series, you're going to go see this film anyway. But if you're thinking about whether to watch it, I'd probably skip this one. The fact that some people are rating this film higher than Tenet surprises the crap out of me. But I would skip this one altogether. I'm going to be giving Bill and Ted 3, Face the Music, a D. Next up is Tesla, an Ethan Hawke film that has already been forgotten about. I really didn't see much talk about this film at all. It came out like last week. And Ethan Hawke stars as Tesla. This is not this is about Nikola Tesla. This is not about Elon Musk. Going in, I thought this was going to be an actual biopic, and it turned out to be a little more comedic than I was expecting. We really have a few scenes where they really go out and break the fourth wall. Tesla is grabbing a microphone, he's singing. Thomas Edison's pulling out a smartphone. I was very surprised by this. Very unconventional film. It tries to be more artistic. It almost works out like a play. There's a lot of scenic backdrops and transition. And I appreciate that it's different. I honestly would have rather preferred an actual biopic, because the comedy sometimes outweighs the seriousness the film goes with, and easily one of the worst problems of the film is its tone, because that's where this one's all over the place. Sometimes it's serious, sometimes it's comedic, sometimes you think it's serious, and then it'll just say, you know what, that didn't actually happen. And I kind of wanted to go in and learn something and not get a comedy about it. And I think that's, like I said, one of the worst things about this is it doesn't know how to balance the two things together. If you wanted to make a comedy, just go out and make a comedy. The first half of this film, for the most part, is somewhat serious, and the second half of the film really just goes out after it, and it's very comedic. Performance-wise, it's decent enough. I think Ethan Hawke does well with what he's given. Tesla is portrayed weirdly in this film, I would say, because he's a very awkward and quiet guy, and yes, he was known, I guess, to be a quiet and shy person, but other times he was known to be a very well-spoken person, and this film didn't capture it, so I was wishing I would see more from Ethan Hawke, but what he's given, he does a good job. I like the score. There's one flute number that they throw in here, which is supposed to be, I think, the main theme of the movie. And I really dug that. I wish they would play that out a little bit more, get more scenes with that. Maybe dial down on the humor. But in all, I think this was a solid film that no one's going to be talking about. No one's already talking about this film. And I think people should check it out. I think it's one of the better films of the year. I'm going to be giving Tesla a C+. And the last film I want to talk about is David Copperfield, another film that came out around the same time Tesla did, like a week ago or so. Another letdown. Interesting cast. Again, another film that's very colorful. Costume design is good. The acting is pretty decent. Where this film falls apart for me is its storytelling and its comedy. Once again, the comedy did not work for me at all. And it's not like I don't understand sophisticated comedy. I could watch Downton Abbey. I chuckled watching that series all the time because it was just funny. Here it's making fun of rich people, basically, and the class system during the 1800s. I just did not find any of it funny. Didn't work for me. My other issue with this film is its blind eye towards race, which I guess they were trying to make a statement and try to diversify the cast, but it just really didn't work in this film. This is set in the 1800s. 1800s London. Let's be that specific. The fact that we have our main lead be an Indian, and both of his parents are white, and his British friend has a mother who's African American, and then you have other characters whose family members don't match their own ethnicity. I found that rather distracting. I understand that this is supposed to be a statement that in Hollywood we're supposed to employ more diverse people, but I don't think that fit in this film. This is 1800s London. Please, why do we have such a diverse cast? I found it distracting. I also found it a little confusing because sometimes I'm like, well, who is this person? And it's like, I might be one of those people who's going to be like, oh, I can't see color. Like, what? Very odd decision in this film to do that. I thought that was distracting. The comedy really didn't work. And it's a fairly predictable, generic story that we've seen so many times. A poor person coming from nothing and ending up with something. The performances are fine. Like I said, the costumes are probably the highlight of the film. Everything else I thought was kind of a bore. And I'm going to be giving David Copperfield a D+. So in summary, I think Tenet was the best film I've seen this year so far, and definitely this week. Mulan, I think, is a pass. I think Disney needs to be doing other things. Do something original for once. This is really just disappointing how they keep spinning out these unnecessary remakes. Tesla was an interesting film. I do think some people should check it out. It is worth it, considering that we don't have that many great films yet that have come out. Watch it before the big blockbusters come out later this year. I think it's worth checking out. In terms of other films like David Copperfield, that is a pass. And Bill and Ted 3, unless you're a diehard fan, I think that one is a pass as well. I still have yet to see Unhinged and New Mutants. Curious to see how those films turned out. New Mutants needed a break. I don't think it got one. It finally got released, but doesn't seem to be getting the greatest reviews. So we'll see when that comes out. If you have any thoughts about any of these films, if you saw them, if you want to see them, please do comment your thoughts down below in the comments section. I'll be curious to see what your thoughts were on all these films that I just mentioned. And hit that like and subscribe button if you can to see more content from this channel. And I'll see you guys next time for more unboxings, reviews, and movie news.